But then the vision became darker, and then I saw one of these domes. There was an uprising. Someone had figured out the scheme of the elites putting us in these like chicken coops. Welcome to episode 1 of Visions of the End Times. Today I want to talk about a vision I had like 2 years ago. And it's about the end times, so it's rather grim. But I feel the urge to speak about this, so I will. A few years ago I had a vision, and what I saw was that the world had become so polluted and so crowded that people willingly moved to some sort of contained cities. And I could sense that this was done on purpose, that people were like brainwashed to think they were a plague on the earth, they were destroying Mother Earth. It does ring a bell, doesn't it? That's exactly what's happening right now. People willingly move to these small contained cities. The narrative they got was that nature had become so destroyed, much of the ozone layer was gone, there was so much toxic fumes in the air, the earth was polluted. But people believe this, of course, what's on the television and the news. People tend to believe that. So people moved into these cities, and these cities were covered by huge domes. So there were lots of these domes on Earth, kind of like the firmament. And if you don't know what I'm speaking about, perhaps you should look it up. It's rather interesting. But there were lots of these domes on Earth. They were lulled into entering these domes with a lot of lies. But the narrative was, you're going to be protected in there. We're going to provide artificial lighting. There will be controlled weather circumstances, so there will be a nice climate. And a lot of people saw that would be better for them. So they bought into the lie and they moved into these cities. But then the vision became darker. And then I saw one of these domes. There was an uprising. Like someone had figured out through prayer, through visions, through dreams, through the Holy Spirit. Someone had figured out the scheme of the elites putting us in these like chicken coops. Someone figured it out. And in one of these domes, there was an uprising, a revolt. People wanted to get out. Because what I also could see was outside of these domes, there was nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong. It was just a small select group of people that feels like we own the earth. Does also ring a bell, doesn't it? So there was an uprising in one of these domes, and what happened, there was no police, there was no army, no nothing. Because these domes, the story was sold as, you will have peace, you will have water, you will have sun, you will have a good climate, you will have no more pollution, you don't have to work. So, well, some people believe in that kind of stuff, but I usually feel like when it feels too good to be true, it probably is. And then when this uprising was there, the controllers of these domes worldwide just zoomed in on this dome, and they changed the light setting. The artificial sun was changed to a part of the light spectrum which makes people sick and vomit and nauseous and faint, flu-like symptoms. Long enough for them to turn on the one who started to revolt. This one person would be removed, and people would carry on with their lives, their so-called lives. And of course, they would not be crazy enough to try that again. So basically, in this future vision, people got harvested like chickens being placed in a chicken coop. It reminds me a lot of the firmament. I said that before. And where I see God's handiwork in the firmament, it even says somewhere in the Bible, the firmament sheweth God's handwork. It's proof that the living God created the earth and the firmament, the waters above, waters below. What struck me in that vision was that these domes were like almost an exact copy of the firmament. So these domes had like the sun and moon revolving around each other. There were stars, but it was controlled because some power-hungry people in the world are crazy for control. That made me realize it was rather demonic, because anything with a soul can create. Every kind of art requires soul. That's where the inspiration comes from. So when something's demonic, it has no soul, and the demonic forces cannot create. You have to be a divine creature to create, because you're created in the image of your creator. So I understood right away by seeing the design of these domes that it was a nearly exact copy of the firmament. But then again, just imitation, and not very original, and not the way a loving father would build it. And in the end, I remember all went dark in front of my eyes, and then I saw like a title roll of a movie. I saw letters coming up, and it was in white letters, in white script. It was written anti-Christ. But then all of the letters started fading, but the A in the first part of that word and the I in the second part of that word still remained bright. So the rest of the text faded to the background, and all that remained was AI. So Antichrist became AI. So for me, the logical conclusion of that vision was that this is a scheme that they invented through AI. Because there comes a point when people stand up and revolt. Now, it takes a long, bloody long time for people to start thinking for themselves, especially if they've been brainwashed like 24 hours a day by radio, by television, by social media. We brainwash each other by copying the news and telling it the next day to someone who did not see the news, and you're telling it like you were there and you saw that. So we're even brainwashing each other. But eventually people will revolt and will stand up. So the demonic realms have found a way to sell even the darkest ideas, the darkest schemes, by selling them as protection and safety and care. And that's how we fall for it. So that's where I see the power of prayer comes in. Because whenever someone tells me something that feels too good to be true, I just pray on it and just ask, Holy Spirit, can you please give me some discernment concerning this? And the answer is always spot on. Yeah. So this was part 1 of Visions of the End Times. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. It's not a very uplifting episode, but the truth can be told. Have a nice day.